Little rap I made up for the Snapper Man. If you don't know what's up, who he is, what's up, buddy, on what he does, what's up, you can win, what's up, brand, buddy, you don't know what's up, who he is, what's up, buddy, on what he does, what's up, you can win, what's up, brand, buddy, introduce the one and only sniper, the South African man with the crypto rifle, the pipe, singing the songs along by the red stuff, the green, and you won't go wrong if you set your trend lines along previous tops and bottoms. He specializes in breakouts, spots fake outs, battery test for success, no stress. Remove emotions, your test, set your stop loss, the profit. You don't know what's up, who he is, what's up, buddy, or what he does, what's up, you can win, what's up, brand, buddy, you don't know what's up, who he is, what's up, buddy, or what he does, what's up, you can win, what's up, brand, buddy. Boop.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Crypto Banter. As we can see, guys, what has happened? What are the main topics today? Looks like Bitcoin is still playing lots of fun in this game. Right now, we had a very volatile sideways channel, and we can see that they are starting to play a lot of games with us. I think a FUD is also getting to a lot of people right now, and that's what's very important today, guys, on how we're actually taking approach to this market. You know, we got a strong fake out at the zone over here, and end of the day, what we are starting to do is we're zooming out and we're starting to look at, what is this market trying to do right now? What are they looking at right now, guys? And we're going to be going through that today, going through Bitcoin, going through the fake out, going through the next key levels, the next crazy supports. You can see the support we did eventually. Now that we did make the breakout of the trend, we then actually had a fake out and we came all the way back down to support, and now we're forming a pin drop candle on the 4-hour, the 8-hour, forming some sort of bullish divergence in the zone. So we are going to be going through the full market update, going through Bitcoin, going through dominance, and the next big topic as well that's been playing out in the market is obviously the US 30 breaking through. If I zoom out here, we can have a look, and this is all important stuff, guys, and we need to understand that these are all little things that do bring exaggerations into the market, that we actually broke support with the US 30. So we'll be going through that as well. Firstly, guys, welcome to Crypto Banter. Let's get the off the line. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the best YouTube channel. Why is it the best YouTube channel? Because firstly, when we get it right, we get it right together. When we get it wrong, we get it wrong together. We are not only the most informative channel that's out there, but we're the realist. I am here every day. When things go right, when they go wrong, we go every day and we fight this market together. We go through the cycles together. And we know that there are different types of cycles that are in the market. We've got the bullish, we've got the sideways choppiness, which we're in right now. And then we obviously got the bearish cycle as well, which we've started to experience. So we're going through a lot of this together right now. But the main thing is we are here. And we are here every single day, bringing you technical analysis, bringing you fundamentals analysis. The latest show today is on as well. Ran is back in action. So we will be having the 2 shows today. So welcome, guys. The first thing I'd love you guys to do is to hit that like, hit that subscribe button. What will that do for you? It will obviously give you, every time we go live, it will give you the notification, as well as following us on Twitter. Follow myself, Sheldon_Sniper, following Ran, Crypto Man Ran on Twitter as well. What does that do, guys? It gives you very important information, guys. On Twitter, we are continuously updating where we can on the market, any small things. I've started to bring a big educational side to the side, to the show as well, which is the Sniper's Wisdoms, which means that we are in a tough stage right now. We're in a tough market, which means that, you know what, we need to start looking at the bigger picture of where we are buying and what levels we are buying at. And in that time, we need to know that the short-term trades are struggling right now. We've been attempting it. We've been struggling quite a bit with short-term trades, which means it's not the time for short-term trading. It's the time for prepping up for the long-term holds, and obviously time for prepping up for education. This is the time where I can teach you guys. This is the time where we have a lot more time to relax a little bit with continuously getting in and out, but as well as learning during the cycle as well, bringing you all the education. What else, guys? We have the banter bags. banter bags, we are still filling them up. We are obviously being really clever as traders as well on when we are laddering in on these banter bags. What are they, guys? These are allocations we have put away for you guys. And when we get to 500,000 subscribers, we will be giving that out to you guys. We'll do a vote again. Do we do it 10 people? Do we do 20, 30 people? I do know the last one was over $500,000 in value, and each guy we did it to 10 people got over $50,000. And then we also put you into the sniper school as well, which educates you with that money. Now, we want you guys, any money that's made in the market, we want you to keep it. We want you to learn this whole cycle with us, that it's not that easy. Anyone that thinks that it's just crazy easy, it's going to be very easy at times, and it's going to be very difficult at times. And remember that the difficult times is when the market shakes out the weak, it shakes out the guys, and makes you want to quit, it makes you want to leave and think that this is never possible, never happens. And then what happens after that is the market then starts to accelerate, and you end up buying at a lot higher levels, guys. So what is the Sniper School, guys? By following us on Twitter, following us on Instagram, which is Crypto Banter. You can see all the links are at the bottom, guys. But what is the Sniper School? Guys, we're going to be the biggest and largest crypto school out there. Not only the crypto school, the biggest school out there as well. Guys, we're looking to get between 100 to 300,000 people in that school in this year. And we actually will have a lot higher targets on getting that school to that sort of level, which will make us the biggest school in the world. Guys, this school is absolutely free. End of the day, I'm here every day. We are giving signals. We are seeing where the market is. But ideally, the biggest gift that I would ever want to give is the true skill of knowing that there are different cycles in this market. And these are, let's get my screen back on. Yeah, there we go. That these are different cycles we're going to play. And each cycle is going to bring different sort of strengths. We know that this is a very scary part of the cycle. A lot of people entered at those higher levels and now are in quite a big loss. That's one part that you're always going to find again in the cycle. It's going to happen again. It's going to repeat. So we need to learn those lessons, practice, and understand what the cycle will bring. And then we got the bad, tricky, hardest part to trade in the market, where it's the sort of accumulation phase, where you can see that Bitcoin recently has broken supports and they have made their way down. But you could see ideally the support is still showing that we are still moving in a slowly upwards trend, not a big upwards trend. But what this is going to get you in and out of the market. And it's going to take, remember, it's a fight for coins, guys. Crypto is all about, there's one set amount of coins, there's a whole population, you guys need to all fight for it. And which means there's going to be a lot of trick signals. It's going to be quite difficult at times where they're going to try to steal your Bitcoin. And what it means, they're going to make you sell, and someone's buying your Bitcoin. How do you sell your Bitcoin, guys? It means someone bought your Bitcoin, right? Who's buying your Bitcoin when you're selling at these stages? And these are the certain things that we need to understand in the market, that every time you're selling, someone is buying it. And who's buying? Is it uneducated, or is it a whale, or where are we actually sitting in the market, guys? So with everything, I think I've gone through everything. We also have the VIP backstage pass, but this will be continuing from tomorrow, guys. We have quite a full show. I do want to bring them in here quickly. I have some guests for you guys just to say what's up. Before we get into it, we got Rudo the man.
What's up, guys?
What's up? We got Fibonacci Lee in the house as well, guys. And what we're all doing today is we're going to give good on you, buddy. How are you guys doing? I know it's tricky. I'm sure. Are you annoyed? It's quite a tough market right now. But guys, this is the team. So every day when we come to these things, this is the team. This is where we sit back, go through the morning, go through it together. And today what we are going to do is we're going to go through different views as well on each, guys. We're going to be going a little bit through the stocks, going through the US 30, going to see what's happening with the dollar. We can see that money's pumping back into the dollar. We also then have, we're going to go through some Bitcoin analysis, and I see where we're sitting with the market. And I think, guys, if you want to sit on the side while I go through quickly now in the beginning, and I'm going to bring in as we go, we're going to do a nice formal one today where we're just going to start to see what's actually happening in the market. And as we start progressing, we will then, if you guys can share your screens, I see your screens are shared there, great, and we'll get into it. So, guys, Bitcoin. Where we're sitting with Bitcoin and what is happening with Bitcoin right now is we obviously dropped down. I see it is making Rudo's in the house. Okay, guys, I'll bring you back now. There's a little noise there, so just check your mics. Just see there. I'll bring you guys back in now. Cool. So, guys, what we're looking at now, Bitcoin. We had the fake out. Okay, I'm in. I was buying in on those zones. And remember that when we now all of a sudden have this turn and we start to accelerate downwards, for me to sell at those zones is the incorrect, sort of uneducated way for me to do this. Because remember with this sort of, what do you call it? Unprediction strategy. And what that does is, by me focusing on support resistance, is when we break supports, which was these previous zones over here. When we break those supports, we usually come down, we come test those supports if we are continuing down to the momentum side, which means that at any point that we don't hold the levels where we are buying, there's always the backup strategy of getting out when we come and retest those zones. So where I'm seeing what's happening with Bitcoin right now is looking at the RSIs and looking at where we're sitting, that 8 hour that we spoke about on Friday is still trailing, and it's literally been trailing at the bottom. Let's get rid of this one. There we go. We've been trailing at that bottom zone. So we know that at any point we are going to have a 10 back from the bulls. What is quite the, I wouldn't say annoying part of the market, is the bulls are really struggling to take control of the market. And it looks like the sellers are having the stronger go right now. The only sort of tough thing to sort of understand right now and where we're sitting is, if we look at volume, that we're getting pullbacks in the market, but the volume is not really increasing dramatically. We're not getting these bigs. Remember the previous dumps that we had? You see this big volume candle here and the trending up of the volume. We're not getting that. We're getting a very solid sort of flat region in the volume, which is just showing us that the sellers are still in control. The sellers are still the ones that are getting the benefit of the doubts. And what we do know is, we've been going through the shorts for Bitcoin, and we can see there how, yes, price has dropped. So the short guys did get it right in that way, but look how quickly we have started to reverse down. And now if we go jump to the long, so what happened previously? The shorts were sitting at such a high point, right? They were sitting at a point that we haven't been there for a very long time. Okay, and if we have a look, that now we've had that strong pullback, and now we've obviously had a drop in the market. If I jump to the BTC longs now, guys, BTC longs have just tipped above. We're just under now, but we're at the all-time highs for the BTC longs. Now, what does this mean? It means that previously that everyone was predicting the market was going to drop, and last week was the cross of death. And if I bring that up here, let's see if I can get it onto this chart over here. There we go. And let's mark it up there. There we go. There was the big cross of death, and we know that since then, we knew that the cross of death was going to happen no matter what. Nothing was going to change it, and the sell-off started early. What we did want to do was obviously hold that resistance point. Now we've dropped that, and we've come back down to our original support trend that we've had previously. Okay, now with this cross of death, it obviously created a lot of that fear in the market. We've had it previously, and we've seen this previously before. The only difference was that we saw with the cross of death was, this is all showing all the previous data and all the previous hurt in the market of coming down. Now we are only starting to get that cross of death, and we've gotten a reaction from it. The difference is, we obviously still have a higher high in play compared to the previous week that we've had that low over there. And now we're at that point where this is such a make or break part for Bitcoin now. And what I'm basically seeing is, now that we have this really strong, let's make it a bit bigger. We've had this really big, strong acceleration down. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Now we've had a big wave down. We know nothing just goes in a straight line. Whenever we have an impulse or a strong wave in one, we always have a correction, and then it can be a continuation down. So where we bought in the markets and where we started laddering in, the first thing that I do want to say to that, guys, is we've been talking about laddering 70% of our portfolios. What percentage, what were we looking at laddering in? Was this big spot wallet section over here. No, not the long term, sorry. What is the long term? It's ones that we are getting in and we are holding for at least 6 months a year. We are holding for a longer part in the market. And we actually want to get to a point where, yes, we're trading actively, but trading actively means that we are trading money. We're putting money at risk every single day. We're putting money at risk every single week. Ideally, what we want is, we want to be taking a section of our money, putting that at risk every day, and having the rest swing in the background, and not actually focusing on that, because we don't want this emotion to play with us every day. This is creating emotion. How many people are upset today? How many people are not happy today and where we're sitting in the market? And that's exactly why it's important to understand that structure that I've been forming for everyone, so we can bring that back. But if I go have a look, even though where we were buying in at those zones, for longer term holds, we still bought Bitcoin in at 43% cheaper than the all-time high. So we still got Bitcoin in at a big special, right? For the higher term sort of views. Now, obviously the big next levels, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get our man Lee in the house here. Lee's going to start us off with some Bitcoin, and then we're going to get Ruda in to speak the DXY and speaking all of that. But with this now is, we at such a crucial level. I want to know what you're thinking as well, Lee, that if we don't hold these levels, obviously for a longer term investor, is it worth now getting at a point to sell out for much lower sort of targets? Because what I'm seeing here in the market is if we don't hold these major support trends, the possibility of Bitcoin going down to 20,024 that we've spoken about a few weeks ago, and that sort of left the topic when we started making our way up, it can definitely be the possibility again. And as the long-term holders, this is where the decision comes now, where we've bought it now at 43% cheaper, but there can be a possibility that we can get it for 60% cheaper from the initial highs and the higher points. So I think, Lee, before I carry on to the small views here, because what I'm seeing here, I want to see what you're thinking as well, is a bounce for Bitcoin at this zone. And this can be a short-term bounce, but this bounce is going to indicate for us where we make our way on the next high, that it's time for us now to, okay, we attempted to get in for long-term holds, but it looks like Bitcoin's going to go much lower. So now we need to actually, when we get back up, start laddering out where we entered in with no loss or very minimal loss, because it's worth it. Remember, it needs to be worth it, guys. If this price goes up here now, even if we bought in this zone and now Bitcoin makes its way up, even though it went 10, 15% lower than where we bought in, remember the gains that we are looking at, and we are looking for Bitcoin to make its way back up to 50 or to 55. Those were the next targets we were looking up. Why? Because we still have that major trend, which we've never come and tested since the big dump. And that's that big trend over there. So even though we had a 10% drop now, lower than our entries, the gains for where the growth could be is still 30 to 40% up, which means we're still at a 1-to-4 risk to reward ratio from where we're sitting. The only thing is, it needs to be worth me selling out what I've just bought. Even though it wasn't the perfect low and we had a fake out in the market, it needs to be worth it for me to know that I'm selling that out, because what happens if we go back up here, I sell back out, and then we continue up to the upward sort of phase. And, it needs to be I still bought Bitcoin at a 43% special. That's still what I bought. Guys, we went through all the alts. Sorry, Lee, before I bring you in now, we went through all the alts. Let's get it here. There's Ethereum. There was the zone that I gave last week. Just at the bottom, just tapping support right now. We can look at DOT. Just at the bottom of the bar zone where we put it. We look at ADA. Just at the bottom of these were all the zones that I was giving from last week. BNB. All the long. So we knew it could have came. The only one that I got over-exaggerated was obviously Bitcoin. But these were the zones that we're giving the whole week that I'm buying up for the 6-month holds, for the longer-term view holds, and where we're sitting in the market. So with Bitcoin now, I'm going to let you share your screen there, Lee, but this is exactly what I'm thinking. Get up to test this trend line again, which will take us between the $36,000 to $38,000 level. Okay. The only way I can see a reversal is if Bitcoin does rally back up to the 41, 42. Then we can continue the strongward upward. But if we go up to those zones and that 4-hour and those higher time RSIs get to the top, and we have only made it between the $36,000 and $38,000 level, I will ladder back into cash with very minimal losses, or if no losses at all from the buys we just made. And we know the possibilities of the low 20,000s are very possible. So Lee, do you want to show your chart there, buddy? And let's have a look. I will then, there we go.
Ready?
All up.
Cool.
Go
Is
for
it
it,
big
buddy.
enough?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Okay. So this is a short-term chart. It's only on 1 hour. I like when you say, you know what, nothing is gonna go in a straight line to the down, or nothing is gonna go in a straight line up. So basically, for me, what is important more than the price, that's why I make it that portion so big, is the RSI. So I like to trade with RSI because RSI is without emotion. When you look at the price and everything, you can be, caught in your emotion phase, you are panic selling or panic buying. For me, this is a really, really good tool to only look at the RSI. And if you understand the power of this hidden bearish divergence and the strong bullish divergence, basically, if you can easily, guys, Google it. You Google divergence and try to pull out this chart, this chart type of divergences. So you need to understand that a strong divergence is a reversal sign, and a hidden divergence is a continuation. Now we all know, we all understand in the market, there's always two teams. They are the bears and they are the bulls, right? So if you think that the trend is going to the downside, so if you are in a bears team, you need to interpret all those hidden bearish divergence. What are those hidden bearish divergence? RSI is making a higher high to the previous high here, but price is making a lower high. All right. So that is, if I'm a seller, if I'm a bear, I will take this as a signal to short the market, to sell the market and push the price down. Now, why are we saying where are the bulls? The bulls are just waiting for the signal to come and try to fight back. But none of the bulls are ready to fight the market back at that stage, because we don't get the signal. If I'm a bull, I'm a buyer, I don't have the go ahead, the signal that that my team is behind me, that when we're gonna buy with the team all together. So where do I see the signals? The first signal I saw, it was here. The strong bullish divergence. RSI is making a higher low now, but the price is making a lower low. And what happened at that stage? The price went up. All right. So if you take a long position here at 34, 35, that will give you enough time to put your to put your stop loss at break even. And where you're gonna decide, I'm gonna take profit when you see weakness in the chart. You see. So if you don't see it here, probably if you go to a lower time frame on 50 minutes, you're gonna see kind of bearish divergence, hidden bearish divergence here for me. So this is the time that you're gonna take profit and put your stop loss at break even. So this was a failed attempt. The bears won that battle, because after that they get the signal to go to short again. Where's the next signal? The next signal was here. Now let me delete that one. Sorry.
I see I'm on mute, Ali. I think just to show them there as well, you saw there when the bears fought back, guys, you see how the price action is lower highs, but the RSI is showing higher highs. And that's obviously when your RSI is not working with your price action, is when they're giving you some sort of clue or some sort of indication.
So the next signs that I had yesterday was yesterday evening, when I saw the bears are losing momentum here. Why? Because you have another strong bullish divergence forming here. That was the pivot for the lower RSI, and RSI making higher low. But here, price making lower low compared to that pivot here, on that pivot here, right? So we have a strong bullish divergence here. And what happened? The price just rallied up. And where did it stop? It stopped at that trend line, okay? But we had here the hidden bearish divergence forming. Price is making a lower low, and RSI is making higher low. At that stage, there were only two solutions for the buyers. Either they find the power to go up and delete that divergence. So if yesterday this price went to above 36,500, okay, then we don't have this bearish divergence anymore. Then the bears will have lost the battle here, but it did not happen. So what happened? The bears come back to the market, interpret this as a sign for them to push the price down, and this is what happened during the night for us. All right. Now this morning, what do I have? Still, the divergence is still here. Let me delete that one. It's not in play. So what did we get? RSI, let me put that line in red one. The pivot was here, and RSI is making a higher low. You see here, Sheldon, higher low. It's not so clear maybe on the chart, but if you go to the 1 hour, there's a higher low, and price is making a lower low. Okay, now what happened here? Price, small reaction up, and now we're coming down. Okay, so now what is interesting is we have 3 strong bullish divergence. In Elliott wave, this can be a third of a third wave. This is the third wave, and this might be the 5th wave. All right, but what is even more interesting for the bulls is here on the 4 hour. 4 hour now, we didn't have any strong bullish divergence on 4 hour. Now I'm seeing this strong bullish divergence on 4 hour. RSI is making a higher high, price is making a lower high compared to that week. So let me delete all those mess here in 1 hour, so you can see that on 4 hour. Sorry, just 1 second. All right, so within this low week here and this week here, now on 4 hour, we see this kind of divergence. So what is really now important for the bulls is to keep that divergence, because now, beside of this price action, I don't care if they come here, wick me out on the stop loss, I can still take another trade and put the stop loss like this. They can give me this kind of setup 100 times, I will take 100 times the same trade, because why? I know where to put my stop loss according to the price, and I know where to put my stop loss according to the RSI. So now, if the RSI is going lower, and delete that divergence, now I know that we're in trouble, because now the price is going to go down, and for the bulls to fight back again, they will wait for another bullish divergence, which means RSI needs to make, assuming the bear is going to win this battle, going down. Now, what I need to know, RSI is going to retrace up, coming back down, making another bullish divergence with a higher lows on RSI and a lower low in price. And that will be my next attempt to buy the price back and to push the price back up. All right. So for now, really important 4 hour, we have this bearish divergence, and that bullish, and that bullish divergence is still playing out. So the next 1 hour and 25 minutes, if that candle closes like this, I will be more than confident to buy this candle back up with a stop loss. I don't have a crystal ball, but I know that there are a lot of thousands of traders that are trading these kind of signals. So when I want to fight back, I want to fight back with a team, with the people that choosing the same strategy as me. So we have the power to fight back the bears. Now, without looking at the RSI, where's my target? All right. So without looking at all those counts, my target is also very simple. If you are not an Elliott Wave expert, you don't know how to use the count, this is the recent high, and wherever the low is going to be, I will just take my fib level from the top to the bottom. The first resistance that we're going to see, because a lot of traders are going to look at this trend, kind of trend line, it would be nice if the price is going to come back and test this trend line. At that time, whether you can take a long trade here, you can easily put your stop loss at break even. One of the first rules when you enter a trade is you don't want to lose money. Protect your entry, don't lose money. And the second one is how to take profit. So first take profit can be here because we're going to go and test the trend line. If we go above, come back, that will be the best scenario, all right? So this is the first test, the trend line. If we break the trend line, we break the momentum. Now, where's your next take profit? Maybe this at 38.2 line. For the fib level from top to the bottom, 38.2, that will be the first area where the bears is going to try to take over the market again, to take over the control. But with that fib level and with this kind of RSI information, assuming we're coming back here and we have a hidden bearish divergence, you know you have to take the profit here. All right, because you don't want to fight in behind enemy lines. But I'm assuming we go above that and we hold this 38.2. When is my next level? Sellers have lost 38.2. They probably go for 618 and 786. Now, this is the kind of area where if that price action is doing like this, I'm expecting a lot of fights within this, what I call the reload zone or the zone,
What's that price
zone
range
of resistance. That is between 37,800 and 39,35. So here, I'm definitely gonna take profit because here all the bears and the sellers will come back, and if they were shorting here, they will have probably taken kind of closing some short position or taking some kind of profit because they know that we're gonna come back for the bullish divergence here as a sign. So if they're close short here, we have more rooms to go for the bulls, all right? But if it goes here, if I'm a bull, if I'm a buyer, I will take profit here, and taking profit on a long position is basically selling. So there will be a part of the bulls that are selling with the sellers, with the bears inside that zone. So I don't want to fight a battle behind enemy lines. So I will let them sort out those big whales and whatever they want to do. They will have to fight it for me. But if they lose, then the price is gonna come back here, and then you're gonna interpret this kind of divergence again, and so on and so on.
Okay, so Lee, I think to close off here, can I ask you a question? So guys that entered, myself, all of them, I'm in at 36, 38 level. Started laddering in. That's what the chart was showing me, right?
Yeah.
Now we get to those zones, like I'm agreeing, anything that support becomes resistance, and we've broken that. So to go test that, it can be a good signal for us to ladder out to those zones. What will turn you bullish to say that those positions are still worth holding? If Bitcoin, if it completely gets back up to that 42?
Now we're talking about a trading strategy. So Sheldon, when you laddered in here, was it for a trade or was it as an investment?
Investments, that's what we've been going through. Long term.
That's good. So basically for me, the best time to buy as an investment, maybe not on a 4-hour chart, maybe not even on a daily chart, is when the price is dropping. But I hope that you still have some money left to buy further dips. All right, because when you, let's talk about investment. When you buy this kind of level here, you buy 618 or the fib level, each of the fib level, right? Basically what you're gonna do, you're gonna ladder in and put your average buy price lower and lower and lower every time. Now, if the price is going to rally up at one stage, whether it's from 32, whether it's from 26, you're going to be in profit well earlier than the people that just bought their investment or everything are here at 41, for example. So as an investor, you never buy everything at one shot. You don't buy. You don't
So
put
been
all your
speaking about
money
little bits,
at
little
one
bits,
level.
little bits.
Little bit, and I think we're
Exactly.
gonna go through this kind of strategy within the Venture School as well. How you ladder in, how you invest your money in cryptocurrency. Basically, buying the dip, buy every single fib level here, and now when the price is gonna go up at one stage, you're gonna be sitting in profit maybe from here already at 35 at one stage, right? So you're gonna ladder in. So don't panic if it is an investment. Don't panic if the price is going down. So hopefully you still have some money left in that market to buy the dip. The problem is if you don't have the money to buy the dip, I would suggest you, when the price is going back here in that reload zone, if that plans work out, if I'm right, what if, but what if I'm wrong? I put my stop loss here because that's a trade. And I haven't even started later in because the below 30K level, guys, I see it coming. I really see it coming at one stage, but maybe not today. Because the market, like I said, it would be really, really, really stupid for them to give us the price while everybody's waiting for this level. They will give it to us when everyone would have forgotten about this sub 30K level. That's why I'm still seeing this price going higher up a little bit. And that is only the first level. If you switch back to a longer chart, I see the market going maybe easy 48, 49, even 52 before we see this sub 30 level again. Okay. But at that stage, even if I see 52 at that stage, like I said, this kind of here, you don't want to be sitting in a battle behind enemy lines. If the price is rallying up, they will surely retrace back. So this is your exit for now, short-term exit. This is your short-term, another buy, and use your stop loss if you trade. If you have
That's
put in
exactly
all
the
your
game plan.
investment,
So I think
if
to
you
add
have
to
put
that,
in
Lee,
all your
this is
money,
why. Yeah.
take a little bit of profit out and buy the dip. If you haven't invested all, if your strategy is to ladder in on the dip, then sell it when the price is going up. Always buy the fear, buy the red candle and sell the green one. Don't do the other way.
Awesome, buddy. Well, I think that's it. I think we're running a little bit late on time, but thank you very much. So, end of the day, so I'm just going to jump back here quickly to the chart. End of the day, the buying of supports always gives you that thing because even with one acceleration downwards, like Lee was showing now, you take your fib tool, and you can see the 618 is usually your retracements. And that takes us exactly back to where our buy zones were. So I'm never afraid to be stocking up on these support zones because I know it becomes resistance. So if that level doesn't hold, we'll come back and test it as resistance. That clears me out then. Okay, let's free up some money here because now we've made it a lower target. We've come down. The possibilities of Bitcoin coming up now, then coming back down can be very high. Which means that, yes, we attempted in the zone, but this is now where we can start freeing up cash again with very minimal loss. Remember what the whole goal is about trading, guys, is to minimize that risk. And by doing this strategy on the retest now, we're freeing up with minimal risk to no risk. And we know now, okay, we can get Bitcoin cheaper now for the bigger holds, for the investment holds. But understand this, guys, as an investor, by laddering in something that's already had such a big market you remember, this is 6-month holds. That same way that when we had the big March drop last year, there we go. Even if you laddered in here, this is where this thing, you laddered in, you laddered in, you laddered in, you laddered in. Investment wise, what happened? What would that have been a year later? Investment wise. Do you understand that you're just at least buying, you're not buying the tops? And that's what the big part of understanding investment wise and these 7-month holds. It may not seem like anything now, but you're going to be surprised that these are good long-term stock-up zones, laddering in. And all that we're doing is as we progress down, if we don't get to certain levels, we're freeing up more cash. And all we're doing is fighting for that entry. And if we got to free up a little bit from where we got in recently, it means we're just going to bring that entry a little bit lower and we're going to get it down. But all we are doing is getting the entries that we can hold for the next 6 months to a year and not have to trade. Sit back and say 80% of my thing, but my entries are all the way down there. Doesn't matter if we go up 100% and then down 50%. My entries are right at the bottom. And that's the whole understanding of where we are right now. So the main thing to sum it down is Bitcoin, we are at a very key support level, right? We're at that point now, we're getting a little bit of bullish divergence on the 4-hour. So we're expecting now Bitcoin, the bulls, to try attempt again, shorter time frame to get with it, but they have a job to do.
If you can give me just 5 minutes, I'm gonna just go through quickly the three different counts that I have on Elliott Wave and why I'm confident that the price can go to 37, 38. So this is the most bearish count that I have, and I see Bitcoin going even to 20K. But before that, nothing can go in a straight line. So if this is the first wave, I'm expecting a bounce back for the second wave before a continuation for the third wave. So that's one of the possibility out there. All right, that is the second one, where we can go from ABC here, this blue wave here, ABC. All right. And now we're doing the wave up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Invalidation for this count is when the price is going below that one, the 31K. So when you take a trade like this, it's good because you know where your risk is, maybe 2-3% here, but you're gonna have, I don't know, when you take that risk to reward ratio 2, you have exactly here 4% versus 50% gain. I'm taking this kind of trade every single day because I'm keen to be stopped out with 4% every time. I need only one trade, one winning trade to bring me 50%. So that's only one of another possibilities. And the third one is here, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going up. So even if now we are doing the A and now we're doing the B and C back to the 30K and then up, so that is another wave that I can take, and I know exactly where to put the stop loss again. So that's why I'm confident of going bullish right now, short term. Doesn't mean that I don't see 30K below 30K anymore. But that is the bullish plan that I have. So now you trade your plan, and then if you get stopped out, then you trade again. Always have your risk management. Always have your stop loss. You know how much you're
So I
gonna
think
lose.
by tomorrow, Lee, we will see
Bring
what
your stop
happens.
break even. Yeah. But I
Yeah,
think Rudo's got something for us as well on the stock market, because Bitcoin is gonna
we're going to
follow
go
this
through
stock
that now.
market.
So guys, this is exactly what we've been speaking about now. So I'm going to take this off here quickly. There we go. Okay, so this is what we've been chatting about. So we're going to get our buddy Rudo in the house. What's up? What's up? What's up? So guys, what happened now? Good on you, buddy. Good on you. So what happened now, obviously, is chart was looking good. Bitcoin was starting. We got a higher time frame last week, and we started to progress up. And then we had this nice little drop from the. There's only 5,000 likes, guys. Guys, we're bringing in different info here from everyone else. Hit that like. Hit that like. Hit that like. So what we're looking at is obviously, let's share my screen again. There we go. Okay. So we had Bitcoin finally making its little higher high. Okay. Then we were holding nicely in the zone, and the next acceleration down. Now, what was a little key that could have influenced that was obviously the US 30 starting to break down. Now, Rudo, I would love to know your opinion now on the US 30 and now with obviously the stock market. I'm going to allow you there to share your screen. Let's get it up there. And I'd love to know your thoughts on the dollar, on the US 30. Should we be worried? Because there's one thing that we cannot push down in this market is if the stock markets don't hold and they start to collapse downwards, it is going to affect the crypto market. So I'd love to know what your thoughts are, obviously, on the US 30 to see that bigger time frame. Is there a lot of shakiness happening there? What is your thoughts?
Well, buddy, I think large time frame, we should not forget to lose context of what is really playing out with the dollar. And if you look at the times, 1986 all the way down, the dollar is trending down. Sheldon, you can agree with me there. Now,
100%.
We've now touched on the different trading phases. You've got the downwards phase, the following phase, and then upwards phase. Now, there's names for them. When you have a distribution pattern, you've got a downwards phase coming. When you've got an accumulation pattern, you've got a markup phase going on. So if I now just go into the monthly, I just want to give a little context. Looking at this is a big distribution forming or in the makings. It's only going to be a distribution if we start losing this 88.27. So Sheldon, what you can do, buddy, is just, if you want to keep context, if the US dollar currency index keeps trending down, it incentivizes people to not be in dollar. That will be good for the stock market and for the crypto market. Now, if we now take this to the 12-hour and see what is really happening today, because that's normally the question that everybody wants to look at. At the moment, we've got hidden bearish divergence playing out. So we've got a lower low and we've got a higher low on the RSI. Excuse my scribble lines there. These are continuation divergences, which means that with these bears, even if it goes up to my target level, there's an incentive for the dollar to go back down at the way. Now, what needs to happen? This DXY needs to break 93.45. So set your alert there. If the DXY breaks 93.45, whoa, now we really need to worry. That would be my worry sign. Now, short term, that Lee is now pointing out in today's, the way that we're looking at today, that there can possibly be some good signs, because if we go over to the 10-year yield and we just use the 12-hour, because at this stage, that time frame, because that's what you're looking at. We need to, you're asking me to find a little bit of good news in this gloomy picture of the market today. Is when we look at this,
divergence.
There's a good divergence. It's locked in.
Yeah.
Literally, as I was waiting for while I was sitting here, it got locked in on the 12-hour. So that is a good reversal candle, and that was a really good divergence, showing us that there's still positivity behind that. Now, if we then take this to the US 30,
and the pin back candle, pin back candle on the 12 hours with the nice
That's a good one.
Brilliant.
I think you're gonna go up. Yeah. Excellent.
Now, Sheldon, if you take this now and you move it over to the US 30 and you move it over to the S&P 500, they are already showing us that there's some divergence between them. Now, I don't want to take too much up time on this, because I think there's a different time and a place to touch on this. But the way I trade them is there was bearish divergence between these two, and that created this rain down. Now, there's bullish divergence in the making. You can see how this one made a lower low, and this one's currently sitting with a higher low. And that just supports the fact that when we look back at the 10-year yield, that there's a reason for us to be positive today. And that's basically all that I can, using these in the crypto world, what I want to plug in with the narrative, guys.
No, brilliant. And at the end of the day, these stocks, they are doing effect on the markets. They are, as much as we don't want to think about it. Bitcoin is looking good. Now we collapse and all of a sudden we start getting a thing, and look how it affects the market. We can see there clearly how the market's starting to drop today. So what we are going to do this week, guys, Lee and Rudo are going to be quite often with us this week, and we're going to be tracking this. We're going to be tracking that. It is so important to be tracking the US 30 and the 10-year yield, because that is something that can affect the market. So I think to narrow it all down and bring it all down is short term. Now we got some bullish signs to the upward side. Now, whatever Bitcoin does decide to do, it's got a big fight to make to turn everything bullish. But right now we are looking at a point that there's going to be a push up. If we don't get to a certain level, we are going to be freeing up cash. It means we're going to be getting it lower. And yes, we are sitting in a bit of a fighting stage right now with Bitcoin, and it's tough. It makes you want to quit. And I don't know if you guys want to say on that, but how bad does this make you want to quit crypto at times? How many times did...
No. I mean, I'm never going to quit crypto. But this card, I mean, I'm only interpreting the signals that the chart is giving me. But, we need to be careful, because nothing, like I said, is 100% for a 100% winning trade.
I think we've lost Sheldon there with the internet.
I thought it was me. So, yeah, Rudo, I think you agree with me. It's like we can only predict some kind of reaction zone, and where the bears are, are coming together, or the bulls are coming together to fight this battle. But it's not gonna stop. Imagine somebody out there seeing that I've done this analysis, and they decided to sell 2,000 Bitcoin on top inside that zone. I can't fight against that. So there's nothing is 100% set in stone. So that's why we use a stop loss. So it doesn't mean that when we say the price is gonna go up, it's gonna go up. I mean, we can be wrong multiple times. You guys, multiple times, more often than you guys think. But when you lose, we lose 3%, 1%, 2%. But when you win 15, 50%, 15%. So I'm taking this kind of trade every single day. I get stopped out every single day. But at the end of the day, if you do the math, 3 times, and you're gonna win in the market.
Yeah, for me, I think the biggest takeaway that you guys need to take from today is that being a professional trader means that you don't try and trade tops and bottoms. Sometimes you let a few go, get a little bit of patience, to see whether the market direction actually supports your bias, because we, as human beings, we kind of have that weakness that we easily to create an opinion. Now, if the market is a negotiation, guys, your opinion is what drives the price action. And if everybody's got a negative opinion, That is how it will print out in the market. So by waiting a little bit, excluding yourself from FOMOing in or with fear selling out, you get to wait and see what everybody's opinion is, and then you can punish them for being late to trying to be early, trying to get the top, trying to get the bottom, because that's where the losses occur. While we're mid-trend, it's always easy to make money, and it's when we're in these pivotal turning points where the market is really fishy. Sure. I don't know where's Sheldon now there, Lee. Maybe I'm just going to quickly jump off and see if I can get hold of him.
I'm back on.
He's
Sorry,
coming
guys.
back.
We had a big
where are
drop
you,
in the
buddy?
internet. What's up, guys? Okay. So, guys, I'm sorry. We had the internet drop out there. So, guys, end of the day, what we are chatting about with Bitcoin is, remember that, let me just get this shared again quickly, then we have it set, is to close it off. I know it's a little bit longer today, but it is important, guys, is we are still tracking Bitcoin in with the alts as well, which means that the alts are there, and we know that the alts are bleeding, but they're not bleeding as bad. They're not bleeding too badly against Bitcoin. And if we have a look at dominance, is the fact that Bitcoin's starting to show a little bit of bullishness, and we're seeing that dominance is starting to break trend, meaning that we are tracking Bitcoin. It's still Bitcoin very much. So at any point when we are getting to the stage now in the next few days that Bitcoin is not getting where it needs to get, we will then focus on laddering out on the alts as well. The main thing is the alts obviously took a huge smack in the last few weeks. I still see their bounce coming strong, and we still said this dominance can make its way slowly to the 50% mark, and then the alts can be going. And I'm also laddering in. No, I got Ethereum at $2,000, $2,100, $2,300. I literally laddered every single way down in the mark, and we will then see. The main thing is Bitcoin. We're focusing on Bitcoin, and when we see what Bitcoin is doing, if there's any big weakness, Bitcoin has a job to do now. 8-hour RSIs at the bottom, 4-hour RSIs at the bottom. Everything is at the bottom, and nothing goes in a straight line. So we need to see that this was one strong impulse wave down. Let's see what this correction does. This correction gets to these zones, and it gets to the 618 line. It gets to our resistance points. What is a resistance? There's a resistance for me right there, and we don't break through that. And these RSIs are getting to the top. You can see how low these RSIs are. Then we can look to start to free up. But don't forget that as an investor and as a longer term trader, you have been buying Bitcoin at 43% to 46% special. And don't forget that you've been buying Ethereum at 60% special. You've been buying Link at 65% special. You haven't been buying at this part of the cycle. So I know it may seem like it's such a tricky stage now, and it makes you want to quit. Just remember where you are buying. It could have been a lot worse. At least you're not buying there anymore. You're buying after big impulse waves to the downward side, which means you are buying at the right times where the bigger guys are buying. Maybe that first drop was not the lower point yet, but understand where you're buying in the cycle. And by understanding that as a bigger hold, as a longer term view, where if everything turns bullish and everything's strong, we want to be 70 to 80% not trading our money. We want that in good assets that we can hold and get. And that's where I think in this zone is where we're getting those entries. So it's a very choppy cycle, which means any guy that's playing leverage and any guy that's trading short term is getting hurt, which means I'm zooming out. I need to be more patient. Everyone needs to be more patient. There's a show every day. Doesn't mean there's going to be calls every day. And that's something we're going to understand going through this week is we ran out of time now to get the education done for the show. But the 4 o'clock, the 10 a.m. show today, I will be bringing the education there for you guys. But this week, I'm focusing big on education. And we are market updating. And guess what? I know we will win together. We will lose together in this market. But I'm here every day. And we've got the team here every single damn day. And we will work this market. And you remember, you can lose 10 trades in a row and win one and make double plus your losses and into profit. Remember that we are allowing chances in this market. It's not a once off. If we get in and it doesn't work, we get out on the test and we then get to the next. We're going to work a little bit for our money, and that's okay. But remember where we are buying and for the bigger picture of where we are buying into this market. So guys, if you haven't hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We got the team. They're going to be showing their faces more. Lee, Rudo, thank you, buddies. Thank you. I appreciate you guys being here. And from that, guys, have a great day. Have an awesome one, and we will update as we go. I'll see you at 10 a.m. I will be there, and we'll be going through Bitcoin again. So let's give it 4 hours. Let's see what happens. Put your stop losses and trade safe, guys, and I'll see you all a little bit later. Bye for now.